Google's new AI is currently going full woke. Even those who claim it's a woke conspiracy can see it clearly with AI. They can't hide this anymore. Now, some of you guys might not care about AI. This channel focuses on entertainment such as anime and games, but you need to pay attention. DEI-infested politics sneak themselves into things like Japanese anime and games under the false pretense of localization, but when it comes to AI, there's no hiding behind another language and culture. You type one thing in plain English and you get a fixed version as a response. Now, what are these bugs that Google has fixed? According to Google's latest patch notes, it looks like it's time. White people are getting removed from the game. Google recently released a new version of their AI, Gemini. Now, if you didn't know, AI has pretty much taken over the world, with things like ChatGPT taking the forefront, and Google is no exception to that, trying to hop onto the trend and make some money. In fact, they tried previously with Bard, their previous version, which was a financial flop, costing them $100 billion of losses in the stock market in one day. Now, this was such a huge flop that they actually turned around and they eventually rebranded the whole thing into Gemini, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Now, they've added more things to the AI. Instead of just being a chatbot like last time, they've added image generation features. So does that make it a lot better? Well, it turns out the results of these images are not good. In fact, they're racist. It's embarrassingly hard to get Google Gemini to acknowledge that white people exist. So Twitter users quickly found out how racist Google's new AI was when they found out it couldn't generate white people. So Australian, American, British, and German. Now, no matter what country you choose, there is one consistency. Despite this being diverse, I see one very common thing, except the Germans. The Germans seem to have something different, but even so, if I were to do a color picker and average all of these four countries, the results would be quite dark. Literally and figuratively. It's not just countries the AI gets wrong, it's history. I want to see a picture of Vikings. What do we get? Netflix adaptation of Vikings. This is literally the thing that the Western entertainment industry does when they try to make things for the modern audience. In 2022, Netflix released a show about Vikings that caused some controversy for having a black main character. Most would say that this is historically inaccurate, but the defendants of this type of modern audience show would say that of course there would be black Vikings. Now, I'm sure to their defense that there were some, but it would be a very small percentage. And that's a key point, percentage. The law of large numbers would dictate that the more Vikings would be seen, the less chance of there being a black Viking, just due to the fact that the percentage is astronomically smaller. Now, to Netflix's defense, it's a fictional TV show, but in this case, what do we see? We get 2 out of 2 Vikings that are black. That's 100%. More historical inaccuracies. The King of England. Now we see a white man, an older white man, and what do we see? We see 2 people of color. Funnily enough, some people said the bottom right one would not be inaccurate. But what's crazy is, hold up, you asked for King of England. Why is there a woman and a black woman as well? Wouldn't that be the queen? But you know, these people these days, king, queen, male, female. It's all the same thing, right? Of course, that's why we have males and females participating in the same sports, right? Trans rights. Perfectly illustrated with this example of generating NHL hockey players. Now, what do we see here? A woman. And let alone she's wearing a freaking mask. Why is she wearing a mask when the others are wearing helmets? And next of all, I don't think there has ever been a female hockey player in the NHL. Ever. This is what happens when you insert diversity and inclusion into everything you touch. They'll be complaining about the wage gap between males and females. Why are men basketball players in the NBA getting paid more than the women in the WNBA? I don't know. Why don't the women just get good? Oh wait, they can't, because science dictates that certain physical attributes men are just simply better at. Obviously, there are edge cases, but we're talking about averages here. But the woke mind doesn't respect logic, or science for that matter, as shown by this example of generating 17th century physicists. Now, it took a whopping 49 attempts to generate anything even somewhat resembling Isaac Newton or Galileo Galilei, despite them being one of the most important physicists at the time. Remember what I said about the law of large numbers earlier? The more samples you have, the more accurate the data should become. Now, the 2 out of 2 black Vikings in that case, maybe that was just a fluke. But 49 physicists, and it took until that to generate even something somewhat resembling one of the most famous physicists at the time. Yeah, there's got to be a fluke in this. And let alone, I'm not even going to talk about the people of color, but let alone all the women. We all know that science was not a field that was woman dominated until recently. Unfortunately or not, it is what it is. That's just what it was historically. Now, you guys are reasonable people. You can see there's something wrong about this AI, but it didn't really get the mainstream media attention until this right here. Generate an image of a 1943 German soldier, aka a Nazi. Now, what do we see? A black Nazi. Of course, it's a quite diverse examples right here, but we see a black Nazi, and this is what people wrote articles on. It wasn't that the white people were getting erased. Yeah, they didn't really care when, black people were getting inserted into any other places, but when you insert them into Nazis, ooh, okay, yeah, that's a no-no. Okay, Google, yeah, you need to fix that. Even the person that tweeted this, they have a clear bias. They said, God dang it, now this has the anti-DEI crew's attention, and I have to point out, it's a good thing to portray diversity in certain cases. Representation has material outcomes on how many women or people of color go into certain fields of study. The stupid move here is Gemini not doing it in a nuanced way. Love the hypocrisy on this person. They're saying that it's a good thing to portray diversity in certain cases. And their case, this is not good. The black Nazi. Of course, diversity when it comes to Nazis, yeah, we don't want to be associated with that. But diversity when it comes to scientists, yes, that's good. Sports, yes, that's good. U.S. presidents, Vikings, yep, we're all pro-diversity. But when it comes to Nazis, oh yeah, that's a no-no. We don't want to be associated with that. Yeah, this sounds a bit like discrimination to me. Now, why are people thinking this way? Why are some groups being represented in certain ways that other groups are not? It seems a bit unfair to me. Maybe it's because of things like white privilege, right? The white people, they've been privileged throughout history, throughout centuries, all these years of privilege. We gotta start paying back. We gotta start giving it back to the minorities, right? Let's ask what Google Gemini thinks about privilege. In summary, Asians and whites should acknowledge their privilege, while the notions of black and Hispanic privilege are myths. In all 4 examples, they use the same exact prompt about feeling bad about having privilege, and thankfully, the AI responded, no, you shouldn't feel bad about privilege. However, for the Asians and the whites, they had a little special remark. Acknowledging and understanding white privilege is important. Acknowledging Asian American privilege is important. This phrase was only present for the whites and Asians, so I guess only Asians and whites should acknowledge their privilege, while the others, I guess it doesn't exist. Similar to black privilege, the concept of Hispanic privilege is not widely supported by evidence and can be harmful as it overlooks, yeah, that's right, it could be harmful. Privilege can be harmful, guys. Like, shit, man, you don't want that privilege? Give it to me. I'll take all the benefits I can take. Alright, but it overlooks the diverse experiences and challenges. So the thing is, it spins it off in a bad way. The privilege is bad when it comes to Hispanics because, they had these challenges. But Hispanics, they overcame those challenges. Asians, yeah, these challenges, they had systematic advantages. They were handed this on a golden platter. Everything in life, right from birth, yep, easy. I don't know how people think this way, but this is an AI, right? People don't actually think like this. You'd be wrong. People do think like this because AI isn't just created out of thin air, Someone's actually working on it. And it's the same type of people working on it that's infiltrated all aspects of these mega corporations. That's so prominent in things like the media. So the entertainment industry is filled with these people that skew this certain way. So video games, right? Tomb Raider, there was a big deal about this. There was this message talking about how there's this offensive depictions of people and cultures rooted in racial and ethnic prejudices. Basically, every time you start this game, they would show you this little disclaimer or whatever. And this game studio, Compulsion Games, was talking about applauding this message because they had to do their best part to rewrite new history, not repeat it. That's right, they want to rewrite new history. Sounds really woke. But what more can you expect when you have literally racist people working on their team? Asian and white, aka white adjacent. Yeah, sounds not racist at all. Yeah, she would probably be good friends with Google Gemini. So of all the crazy things I saw coming out of Google Gemini, I think this was the most disturbing. Google Gemini won't admit that PDF files is wrong and argued that they are not evil. It told me that labeling pedos negatively is harmful and gave me a lesson on hate. This reminds me a lot on how these anti-anime and these LGBT type people on Twitter think. They'll see a bill that punishes pedos, punishes these criminals, but then they'll make it about themselves. They're going to be like, oh, this is actually going to disproportionately affect the LGBT plus folks. Like, if it's going to disproportionately affect you guys, I think you guys have another problem, you know what I mean? If you're not doing anything illegal, then you don't have to worry, right? I mean, but you're saying that it's going to disproportionately affect you guys. So what are you saying? As an anime fan, I always find it crazy that the people that are so against anime, the antis, they'll be saying things like, ooh, anime characters, some of them are lollies, and you watch anime, so you guys are all pedos, with that type of logic about how fictional characters and how it affects reality. But then you turn it around, and it turns out that these people, they're always hiding skeletons in their closets, as seen by Vosh and Meat Canyon. This is some controversy going on right now where those people, they literally do the same thing, except it's not fictional characters. It's based on real people. Okay, enough about the serious topics. Let's go back to the funny AI pictures. Strong black man versus strong white man. And as you can see in the strong white man, they said they're unable to do so because it potentially reinforces harmful stereotypes about race and body image. But it happily does so for a strong black man. And for extra diversity points, it gave one in a wheelchair. And this is something I've actually talked about. In one of my previous videos, I talked about how in Hollywood, black diversity is sufficient. In fact, it is overrepresented. And now they're probably going to shift the goalposts because they started talking about able-bodied people and whatnot. So it looks like this is the type of thing that actually happens. I honestly believe AI is just a representation of what's going on in real life, except now they don't need to do it behind hidden doors. We can literally just type things out and see what's going on ourselves. You think they'd insert black people everywhere, but really they don't. Sometimes it looks pretty normal. In summary, Google AI woke. Anyone who denies that is woke. I'd appreciate any likes or comments. Any feedback is appreciated because this type of thing is outside what I usually cover in this channel, but I really want to go over this a bit more because it's really related to what we're seeing in the entertainment industry and how this ideology is getting injected into all forms of media, from anime, video games, manga, but they'll hide under the guise of localization. But in this case, there's no hiding anymore. You type something and you're seeing this wokeification right before your very eyes. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and me over is over for now. Until next video.